All right. Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Right back here on WagerTalk TV with your first college football video for this season. It's week one. Hey, look, I don't acknowledge week zero. What is week zero? No, it's week one. September is here. So it's time for the top 25 weekend video like we did last season as well. Every Friday night, I'm going to put it up here for Saturday's biggest college football games. And we have 3 head-to-head top 25 matchups this Saturday. Going to run down in start time order and look at all 3. I'm going to give you my proprietary power ratings, my personal power ratings on all 3 games so you can figure out where the line value is. I'm also going to give you some additional analysis, matchup analysis, insight, and which way I lean as well where I see values. Once again, the 3 biggest college football games for this Saturday: Cincinnati, Arkansas, Oregon, Georgia, and of course the biggest game of the night, Saturday night, Notre Dame and Ohio State, a top 5 matchup right out of the gate, all right here for free on WagerTalk TV. Quick reminder, if you haven't downloaded the WagerTalk TV app, do so right now. You can watch shows on the phone, on mobile devices, anywhere on the go with the WagerTalk TV app. Download it right now in your favorite app store. And don't forget also to give this a thumbs up, a like if you find it useful. And most importantly, hit subscribe. We're almost 100,000 subscribers here on WagerTalk TV on YouTube. Let's get there this football season. You do your part. Hit subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. If you want instant alerts when these videos go live, hit the bell as well. And don't forget, my NFL Fade the Public video will be here this time next week with the start of the NFL regular season. Hey, if you want an all sports special right now, go to my page at wagertalk.com. Get 7 days for just $74. That's a $25 discount off the normal price with promo code Kickoff7. That's a promo code Kickoff7 for the entire 7 days. Actually, 7 kickoff. I got that backwards. Rewrite 7 kickoff. The number 7 kickoff. One word. 7 kickoff gets you 7 days, all sports, just $74. That's normally a $99 package. It's a $25 discount, 25% discount with promo code 7kickoff. You're basically getting college football for free because 7 days of MLB is $79. You're getting 7 days of college football and MLB plus next week's start of the NFL for just $74. Once again, 7 kickoff. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. All right, let's look at the first game of the day. There's actually 2 games at 3:30 Eastern this Saturday, September 3rd, that are top 25 matchups. And we'll start with what I think is the more higher profile one of the 2, and that is the Oregon Ducks, number 11 Oregon, traveling to Georgia to play the number 3 ranked and defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs. Now, technically, it's a neutral field, but the game is in Atlanta in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium Dome, and I think we would all agree that this is probably worth a couple points of home field advantage for the Georgia Bulldogs, as they will have basically a home crowd edge. So factoring in a little bit there, my power ratings comes up with Georgia as a 19.5-point favorite in this game, and that is where the line value is. Look, this line opened as low as 16 in a lot of spots this summer. And keep in mind, we're talking about opening lines here for college football. These lines came out earlier than you'll ever see. Most of the major sports books, both in the U.S. and across the world and in Vegas, they had lines out in early May this summer. So we're talking about almost, 3.5 months, almost 4 months now of bettable lines for these games. So when we say opening lines, they've obviously had some time to marinate. They've had some time to be bet into. And if you've been paying attention here over the week, you've seen a lot of line moves of 7+ points in a lot of these college football games. So you have to be careful by saying, oh, the line value is gone, because a lot of the opening lines are just bad numbers. I mean, I keep thinking back to that Vanderbilt-Hawaii game, week 0 last Saturday. They opened as low as 2. A lot of other spots opened them 6, went up to 8 or 9. You'd say, look, I'm not giving up 7 points. Hawaii went out there and lost by 50 still. So you have to be careful. I also had Tennessee as a best bet for my clients Thursday night. That line technically went from 28 to 35 up to 35.5. We still laid the juice because they won by more, and I knew that was a steamroller blowout. So you have to know what the line should be. I highly recommend doing your own set of power ratings, or at least thinking what the line should be before you look at the numbers every Sunday, Monday morning on the upcoming weeks for both college and pro football. And with that said, this line has gone a bit higher, opened as low as 16 this summer. It's now up to that key number of 17, a few 16.5s, but mostly 17. But once again, I still think there's line value with Georgia, as my power ratings make this line 19.5. Georgia is loaded. They lost a lot, but they're still loaded. They lost double-digit players to the NFL draft. They lost over half their defense, the entire defensive line, to the NFL draft. Normally, that would be a huge red flag, but Georgia's one of those programs that just rebuilds every year. There's only 4 or 5 of them in the country, and I believe, obviously, the Georgia Bulldogs are one of them. So they should still be one of the best defensive teams in the nation this year. And I do think they're the better team in this game. And once again, I feel like the value is with Georgia. However, I'm staying off this game most likely because of a concern with the matchup. And this is a very intriguing matchup. Not only is Oregon ranked top 15, but the Ducks have a new head coach, Dan Lanning, and he was one of the co-defensive coordinators last year for this Georgia Bulldog squad. So I do think, even though Georgia's the better team and my power ratings favor them, Oregon could have a little bit of a matchup edge here, as Dan Lanning, first-year head coach, is obviously going to know Georgia's offensive players, know the schemes, and know what they like to do. I think, yes, Georgia knows Lanning and his defensive schemes, but they haven't seen them yet because Oregon hasn't played yet this season. I think Lanning has a little bit of an edge that offsets that couple points of home field value. And if that's the case, that 19.5 maybe becomes 16 or 17. And that's why I'm staying off this game as far as an official play, even though the line does seem a bit low. Also, keep in mind, former Auburn quarterback Bo Nix is transferred over to Oregon as well. He also knows Georgia and the schemes, but then again, Georgia knows him when he's in the game. So interesting matchup here. I think the value favors Georgia, but the matchup, at least from the Dan Lanning angle, might give Oregon a little bit of an edge. Another game at 3:30 Eastern. And by the way, that Georgia game is on ABC national TV. ESPN has the other big game at 3:30 Eastern. Number 23 Cincinnati Bearcats at number 19 Arkansas, as we'll talk about another SEC. And this is a true home team this time. Power ratings make the line 5. The line is currently 6.5 in a lot of locations, and it looks like it's touching 7. Wouldn't be surprised to see more 7s by kickoff on this Saturday at 3:30 Eastern. With that said, though, I still would lean towards Arkansas. This is an example of when you're handicapping games, you want to have line value, but you also have a preferred side, a matchup side, or a situational side. So going into this game, my preferred side was Arkansas. I was looking for a reason to play them. Unfortunately, the line is a little high. Now, it did open as high as 7.5 over the summer, so we've actually seen a little bit of money at one point drop it below that key number of 7. Currently, as of Friday night, Arkansas a 6.5-point favorite. South Point in Vegas does have -7 already. Other spots have it juiced a little bit towards 6.5. So I do think if you like Cincinnati, wait. You'll find some +7s if you haven't already done so by Saturday afternoon. If you like Arkansas, you probably want to grab the 6.5 while it's still available. My power ratings, though, only favor the Razorbacks by 5 points in this game. So once again, there's not any line value. In fact, the line value is technically with Cincinnati, but I'm willing to give up a little bit of line value because I think Cincinnati might be down more than my power ratings and the general public realize this season. You know, we talked about how Georgia's one of those teams that just reloads. Cincinnati also was in that Final Four mix last year, the national playoff, and they're the one team from the outside, the Power Five, that keeps trying to sneak in. 13-1 season last year, really impressive, outscored their opponents by 20 points a game, but much more inexperienced this year. And, you know, Georgia, by the way, the 122nd experienced ranking on defense, one of the least experienced teams in the country, as I mentioned, lost their entire defensive line, half their starters to the draft. Well, Cincinnati comes in as 115th. The Bearcats are also a very inexperienced and young defense that returns only 5 starters this year. The difference between Cincinnati and Georgia, who we just talked about, is I'm not sure the Bearcats are at that level where they can just rebuild or reload, rather. Yes, they were a playoff caliber team last year, but I'm not sure they can just reload like Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, you know, even Clemson, the other type of teams that we see in the national title mix each and every year. So I do think Cincinnati's going to be down a notch this year. And the fact that it's a tough road game to start the season is going to make it even tougher for that young defense. So even though the line is a little high at 6.5 or less, I still lean Arkansas at 3:30 Eastern on Saturday afternoon. Quick reminder, 7-day all sports special is available right now on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, promo code 7KICKOFF. That gets you 7 days of all sports, whether you start Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, whenever you want to start. This runs through Labor Day. You can take advantage of the 7 days anytime up till Monday, Labor Day, and get a $25 discount, which is essentially a 25% discount because it's normally $99. You're getting it for just $74. That's less than the price of 1 week of baseball. And you're getting all my college football and NFL as well. 7 days, college and pro football and baseball for just $74 with promo code 7KICKOFF. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. All right, biggest game of the week, without doubt, a top 5 battle. The winner of this game is obviously going to take a step closer to that 4-team playoff, and that's Notre Dame at Ohio State. I don't think it's going to be much of a game, though. In fact, the power ratings and the point spread is telling you all you need to know. You know, look, Oregon is a 17-point dog in that game, as we just talked about earlier. And this line is around that same range, but I don't think it's high enough. In fact, my power ratings obviously favored Georgia earlier. I mentioned I did have some concerns, though, with the matchup in that game. Well, less concerns here because my power ratings and I think the matchup favor Ohio State. So we're going to go Buckeyes in this one. And this game goes Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern on ABC National TV. First off, my power ratings favor Ohio State by 20 points. So I do think there's still some line value with the Buckeyes. And this is a textbook example of what I was talking about earlier, how you have to be careful overreacting to the early number and the current line. Look, it opened 14, a very key number this summer, went up to minus 16. A lot of people might say, well, we lost 2 touchdowns. It's now over 2 touchdowns, but it's still not high enough. And in fact, we still have some key numbers working for us because both 17 and minus 18 are both key numbers, in my opinion. And of course, so is 20. And that's where my power ratings have this game as minus 20. So even though the line has gone from the summer from 14 up to 16, it's still not high enough. And the line value, and I think the matchup favors Ohio State in this game. Notre Dame's chance, obviously, to keep this one close is going to be for a low-scoring game. 58, 59 are the different totals out there right now. We'll say 59 is the consensus. So obviously, if Notre Dame can slow the game down and make it a low-scoring game, that does make it a little bit easier to stay within the 2+ touchdowns. But I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that. You know, Ohio State's probably been the most explosive offensive team in the nation consistently now for several seasons. Notre Dame does have a decent defense with 8 starters back, 56th ranked experience, but the offense is just going to have trouble keeping up. 113th experience ranking on that offense, even though they have 7 starters back. And then on top of that, they lose, obviously, they lose Brian Kelly to LSU. They have Marcus Freeman as a first-year head coach, and they start on the road against perhaps the best team in the country this year, the Ohio State Buckeyes. So situationally, not a good spot. And then on top of that, we're actually getting line value with Ohio State. I think this sets up as a game that's worth a look. So if you're playing the biggest game of the week, take a look at Ohio State minus the 16 on Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern. And the Buckeyes, once again, just explosive offensively. Should be the case once again this year with 6 starters back, 53rd ranked experience on offense. But the defense is what's going to surprise people. You know, my knock on Ohio State the past few seasons has been that defense. And that's where they have struggled at times. You know, back during the COVID season when they went 7-1, their defense gave up 26 points a game. They'd given up only 14 the year before in 2019. That's, you know, what Alabama, Georgia, you know, those good Clemson teams, they only gave up around, you know, 14, no more than 17 points a game. Ohio State allowed 26, and then last year they still allowed 23 points, despite going 11-2, obviously, and making it, you know, into the bowls. In which they beat Utah 48-45. You know, so the defense has been the question mark, but this year I think it's going to be a lot better and back to those old school Ohio State defenses. 8 starters back, first of all, but more importantly, the 13th most experienced defense in the country. And by the way, these experience rankings I'm using come from Mark Lawrence's Playbook Annual, in which I do have a college football preview article. I highly recommend checking out Mark Lawrence and his Playbook Football Annual. I love these ratings because returning starters is one thing, but with the transfer portal, you might have a guy that's technically not a returning starter that has a lot of starting experience at other teams. So the experience factor has Ohio State as the 13th most veteran experienced defense in the country. I think that's why they might be the best team in the country, and they're underrated in week 1. Buckeyes minus 16 against Notre Dame, 7:30 Eastern on ABC. Look, those are the 3 biggest games this week, the 3 head-to-head top 25 matchups. We're going to do this every Friday night into Saturday here on YouTube on WagerTalk TV. Check it out. Give it a thumbs up if you found it useful. And most importantly, leave me comments below. You know I love my comments. I read every one of them, and I reply back as well. Let me know your thoughts on these top 25 matchups. And more importantly, let me know your best bets this week in all the college football. I love to talk college football. September is here. Week 1 is here. Let's have a huge Saturday and cash in big together. And don't forget, if you'd like baseball and football, I've got a great combo right now. 7 days with a $25 discount. That's 25% off the normal rate. $99? Nope, it's just $74 with promo code 7KICKOFF. The number 7 kickoff, one word, 7 kickoff. Use that at checkout. Select the 7-day all access for $99. Put in promo code 7 kickoff at checkout, and you get it for just $74. That's every baseball and college and pro football play for 7 straight days. It's good through this weekend until Labor Day. You have a few days to sign up. Don't miss out. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Thanks for watching. Be back all week long here on WagerTalk TV with additional baseball and football shows. Best of luck this weekend. I'll talk to you again soon.